Alright, so it's me, Danny, and I just finished watching this movie. It's called Don't Go in the Woods. It is a Tribeca Film Festival movie. It is done by, I, I don't know how to say his name. It's like Vincent Olofrio. Um, you guys would know him from Full Metal Jacket. He was the bug guy in the first Men in Black. He's been Detective Gorin for all the seasons on Law and Order: Criminal Intent. And he directed this film. And as you can tell, and this is basically exactly what the box looks like. It's a bloodied up guitar with woods in the scene, in the guitar. And it's basically a musical horror movie. But not in the way Sweeney Todd or Repo Generic Opera are set up, where they're, people dancing and singing. This is basically Nick, who's played by Matt Sebago, I think is how you say it. I'm not sure. There's nobody really big named in this movie other than his name's Eric Bengino or something like that. He plays the captain in Law and Order: Criminal Intent, that's above Gorin. And he's only in the very ending of the movie, like the last minute. And it's basically Nick takes his band out to the woods so they can have a recording session and make new music. And he wants to be like a serious, player. He wants more than just, have a few hits, play the bars, and live the rock star lifestyle. He wants to go somewhere with his music. So, all of the music in it is basically like the band sitting around fire, playing, or Nick going off by himself and playing. And the music is all like indie rock, indie folk type music. So if any of you guys know the bands like Bright Eyes, Iron and Wine, of Monsters and Men, that is basically the type of music you're gonna get. To me, it all sounds like Bright Eyes except for the women singing. And everybody in the movie sings. And I want to say, not everybody can sing, but they're not like horrible singers. Like you hear them and go, yikes, like some of us. But the problem that I've seen a lot of reviews say on this movie is the acting is horrible. And to me, for an indie film, this movie was pretty good. The acting didn't need to be great for it, because everything else pretty much was. And this is a movie Vincent pretty much said that he just threw together. Back in like 2010, he was waiting on copyrights for a different movie that he was going to be doing. And he was driving up to one of his homes or something with his wife, and was like, you know what, I want to film something really bad. Like, what do I have right now that I can film? And basically what he said was his backyard is woods, so they basically used that, because he just got a giant backyard, because obviously he's rich. He had a friend that can write all the music out and the composition, and he had a crew apparently that was waiting to do whatever he wanted them to do. So he made a musical horror movie. Now, the music does kind of fit, like they make, the people sing certain things for what's going on in the situation, but they don't all get up and dance around and everything like they do in a normal type musical that you think. But anyway, I digress. So he goes out there to Nick and his 4 other bandmates to basically write new music. and none of them really want to go. They all just want to goof around, and he wants to take it serious. And basically, on the first night there, all of their girlfriends and friends show up, you know, and he's not too pleased about that, since he wants this to be a serious time and not partying, and they bring alcohol and pot. But anyway, they do get a few new songs going, and I have to say, the songs that they play, to me, because I do like indie folk and indie rock, they are really good songs. I love the lyrics to some of them. They're actually like really heartfelt songs too for being movies. But as it goes, this is so far the musical part, and people, after the first night, two girls leave, and they get killed, and they don't come back, but nobody really, questions it. They're all like, oh, well, they just probably went to a motel, or, they met somebody or not having sex with them, and nobody really thinks twice about it. Normal, typical horror movie stuff. And basically, you can kind of tell, something's up with Nick, because he keeps going off on by himself, playing depressing music, and you hear that his brother died, but you get the feeling that his brother at 14 committed suicide. You just kind of get that feeling. It does have a twist to it, but anybody that's really seen this type of movie can nail the twist. I nailed it really quickly. I was kind of just like, oh, I think I know what it is, and I was right. It does give you, there is parts where Nick is talking in this weird type voice that gives you the feeling of a Donnie Darko type movie. Because he's talking about the end of the world and the eye of the storm and all this weird stuff that, is reminiscent of Donnie Darko. The main character, Matt, well, that's his real name. To me, he looks like the spitting image of Tom Higginson from Plain White T's and Elijah Wood put together. Doesn't really talk like it or sound like it, but his face sure as hell looks like it, and when he stands up to play the guitar, he plays just like Tom does. And I looked it up and searched it. Just, I was like, this looks so much like him. It has to be him, but it's not. It's, I guess a doppelganger. But anyway, it pretty much everybody dies, And if you watch the behind the scenes or any of that type of stuff, Vincent says, he goes, everybody sings and everybody dies. With the exception of Nick, and Nick does get a record deal from it. I won't say anything more than that. But I gotta say, I highly recommend Don't Go in the Woods. Just for, the horror part isn't really, it's not scary, but the music he has playing during the killings is a type of creepy music, almost reminiscent of American Horror Story or Insidious type of deal, but, more of a serious type of creepy music. If that makes any sense, because, Insidious had that weird, creepy vibe feeling music, but then it, the next bar or lines of music was this really cheerful clown type shit. But it's that creepy music that Insidious had in American Horror Story for all of it. But you don't really get to see really any of the actual killing. It's kind of shadows, or he goes to kill somebody and they black out the screen. But later on in the movie they do show the people, and that is really graphic and gory, which I found quite weird, but oh well. But I gotta say, I absolutely love this movie. It's just all pretty much indie actors, And I gotta say, Vincent made a great fucking movie, and I would love to see more movies that he directed and made. So, that was my review for Don't Go in the Woods. Go out there, bitches, and I would buy that shit right now.